This is the Teverun Fighter 11. I just wanted to make a video showing you guys some of the kinds of rides I've been on. But before we get into that footage, just super quickly, let's actually look at my scooter so you know what it looks like, it's capable of doing, and also just some of the modifications I've done to it. So I have grip tape on there, some really grippy stuff. The tires are stock in this picture, but I do have something a little more like hybrid now. What else? This is kind of an unusual model of Fighter 11. It's kind of in between the base model and the next level up. And then I have some custom parts on there. I've also made the rotors smaller because I want that little bit of ground clearance. And the rotors pictured, I'm not sure are the most current examples of what I have on my scooter right now, but this is like 90% what my scooter looks like. So there you have it. And yeah, we'll cut to that footage pretty soon. This is a clip I used for a video where I actually review this scooter. So if you're interested in seeing that, you can watch that. Maybe I'll do another one, just like an update video, because maybe I'll just do a little better job on the video and it'll be more up to date as far as my opinions are and my build is currently. And I also have a 7260R. Right here, I'm a little bit critical of like the ground clearance where the shock mounts at the bottom on the swing arm. It's a little bit too close to the ground. And then I also criticize the scooter a little bit for being like, the kickstand could be mounted flush with the deck, but instead it's not. So there's a couple parts on the bottom of the scooter that are definitely a little snag prone. Like you can see the kind of riding I'm about to be doing and why someone doing the kind of riding I'm doing would be critical of these details. And then, you know, before anybody comes in trying to comment like, why don't you just get an e-bike or like an off-road bike or a mountain bike or something? I'm just not into it. I used to mountain bike a lot. I don't know what happened, but I lost interest completely and I am captivated by scooters. So is this the most practical off-road vehicle? Not necessarily, but is it my favorite vehicle for this kind of riding? Absolutely. So that's just, it is what it is, you know? And if you have a hard time wrapping your head around that, I don't know what to say, but it's pretty clear that people like doing things the way that they like doing things. Some people like to skateboard to work, or rollerblade to work, or take an e-scooter to work, or drive to work, or bus to work. And, you know, it's really just personal preference. Sometimes the most practical thing is not the most fun thing, and the fun thing gets prioritized over the practical thing. So I think that's kind of what it is in this case, but I do love standing on the scooters, and I just love being continually surprised by what they're capable of. I also love that I can just fold it and throw it in my car. I mean, you can really go anywhere with a scooter. That's so much of what the beauty is for me, is that I can exist on this vehicle on pedestrian paths, and people are not going to scream at me or think I'm on a dirt bike. I am just on an innocent little scooter. So, I mean, you know, this one goes very fast and it's off-road capable, but I can blend in with society. You know what I mean? I'm kind of a civilian still on this vehicle, and that's part of the fun. I can actually go anywhere. You can't really do that on an e-bike legally. It's not the same. So that's also part of the appeal. Anyway, enough me trying to justify why I like scooters. You either get it or you don't, you know? But I think just me pushing the limits of what scooters are capable of begs the question, why don't you just get an e-bike? And that's a fair question, but I also obviously get tired of answering it. But I will from time to time, because I know as my channel grows and my videos get a little more attention or whatever, that question is going to continually come up if I don't address it. So I'm sure you'll hear from me on that same thing again. But yeah, there you go. All right, well, now we're riding. This is a location in Las Vegas. I don't know if I really want to disclose it because you're not super supposed to ride here, but people do. And I don't feel like I'm doing anything to really tear the place up. I'm not riding obnoxiously. I'm not going at speeds that are harmful to anyone. I'm probably keeping it around like 15 miles an hour, honestly, or lower. That's just kind of the speed I like to ride if I'm doing stuff like this. I think much faster these tiny wheels and suspensions would fail to perform adequately, if you will. So yeah, we keep it pretty slow, pretty chill, but it's a nice time. And again, I'm kind of just rambling in this video, but that's sort of the point, right? This way you can see what I'm doing on the scooters, how I like to spend my time on it. And, you know, we're just hanging out talking. And this video is partly just for me to be able to share with people and also look back on myself, the kind of rides that I've done. In case people are like, really, you can ride off-road? Where do you go? I'll be like, hey, check out this video. You can see exactly what I've been doing on my scooter. And that is the Fighter 11, by the way. And you can get $50 off with my code if you want to use my discount code and link at Super Scoots. A super friendly, chill, and competent professional scooter retailer in Canada. I've had some small problems with this scooter, probably in part due to me pushing it as hard as I do, but you know, these things aren't perfect and mechanical issues come up, and they've been quick to make things right for me. So I felt like I'm in very good hands over there, and I'm happy to work with Super Scoots as a content creator because I'm very confident putting attention on them, because I know that you're in good hands if I send you over to Super Scoots. So shout out to them, and thank you for taking care of me. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Teverun. I did a lot of research before selecting this. It kind of came down to like Nami or Teverun, and Teverun was a little more attractive to me, partly because they have an app that allows you to control so much of the dynamics of the scooter, like so many control options, like acceleration curves, power distribution to the front and the rear, obviously like top speed within each gear. I mean, all that stuff can be controlled from the app, and the app's not like amazing, but it's really nice to have one. It works, it gets the job done. The Nami scooters don't really have an app. You got to do everything on that P menu or whatever on the screen. This is just easier, and it's a little bit cheaper, and the suspension feels amazing. I think the build quality of Nami and Teverun are similar, but I think the Nami isn't quite as cost competitive. And yeah, you could make an argument for the software being better on the Teverun. But yeah, Nami and Teverun are two companies worth comparing to each other. I just don't think there are too many others. I feel like the Wolf King stuff is really dated design-wise. And I like the idea of the dual stem fork style front end, but unfortunately it feels like absolute hot garbage to me. I'm coming from the mountain bike world, so I have a certain expectation of what suspension should feel like, and for these cheaper designs like the C-style stuff on these scooters, it just so happens that having a leverage ratio, the kind that you do on a suspension system with swing arms, makes a cheaper suspension system perform so much nicer than it does on the Cabo stuff. So yeah, the Wolf King's more rigid, but the suspension performance in terms of how it compresses and absorbs shock, horrible, so bad. And to anyone that would challenge that opinion, I'm going to challenge you back and honestly just kind of be like, well, I don't really know if you know what great suspension feels like, you know? I mean, I've been there. I've been there. I've ridden mountain bikes that are $10,000 with the highest end Fox and RockShox stuff tuned to perfection. And I'm coming into the scooter world willing to spend, you know, a few $1,000s on something and not expecting as much suspension performance, but hoping that it at least feels as nice for how much travel it has relatively. So anyway, it's a bit much to ask for scooters, but a couple of scooters meet that bar. And I would say that the Fighter 11 is one of them. The 7260R is. I'll go ahead and say the Nami ones feel just as good, but most of the scooters out there do not at all feel nearly as good. So if you haven't tried this scooter, then you very likely don't know what good suspension on a scooter actually feels like. And if you're not riding off-road the way that I am, I would dare to say that maybe you haven't really needed suspension to feel and perform as good as I have. Again, I'm not trying to like gloat or come off as arrogant, you know, but the way the internet is and the way that opinions get so attacking so quickly, I feel like I just have to reiterate why my opinions are so strong on things like suspension, but ironically also why I still choose to ride e-scooters instead of e-bikes. It's a funny position I'm in, you know? But as you can see in the footage here, I'm just loving the freedom of it. I mean, I am in this ridiculous place. Look, I can literally go anywhere. I'm not necessarily following a path. I'm just going forward wherever I want. And there's enough range on this scooter that I can go quite far. In perfect conditions, this thing should get about 55 miles. Obviously, I'm doing some stuff that's going to eat into the range quite a bit more, but I can very confidently assume that I can get like 40 miles. So going 10 or 15 miles out, I'm very confident that I'll be able to come back no problem. So yeah, and that's quite a long distance to ride on a scooter, especially going like 10 to 15 miles an hour off-road on stuff like this. That was a funny fall. I just got swallowed by like dust. It's just such a deep pool of dust right there. Pretty dusty area, but yeah. And we're back on it. So my buddy in front, the homie Ace, who you would also see on my tennis channel occasionally. This is a secondary this is a secondary channel for me, this scooter channel. So it's part of the reason I don't post here as often as I do, but my main channel is just ZeroLove Tennis. If you guys want to check that out and see me talk about like tennis gear, barefoot shoes, sometimes nutrition stuff, So a lot of my discount codes there, some of them will come over here as I bring like some of the sponsors and whatnot into this channel a little more as I do more work here. But I wanted to separate my scooter content from my tennis content because those two things just don't overlap very well. But it's cool to have. I'm very passionate about the e-scooter world, and I want to see it grow and improve. And I also want to see the customer base become more appreciative and critical of design, because one thing holding back the scooters from being as good as they could be is largely that the consumer base just isn't there to support something nice, you know? Once you get past like the $2,000 to $3,000 mark, you get a bunch of people just saying, why would you ever spend that much on a scooter? And then sure enough, the companies never pop up and make anything that is worth that much, because nobody thinks that anything that costs that much could possibly be worth that much. So yeah, I get it. I understand. But again, I think it's just a matter of the culture not being there. But there are definitely some people that are hungry for something like that. And I just hope to showcase how amazing and fun e-scooters can be. So hopefully this video achieves that a little bit. And maybe my scooter channel can be a small push in the direction of where I want to see scooters go, because I see poor design choices made at every price point pretty much all the time. And it frustrates me greatly. And I have a similar role in the tennis world where I'm critical of things for similar reasons, but obviously it's a completely different industry and niche. But yeah, I don't know, I guess I'm a pretty opinionated guy, and I want to get involved in the consumer market, but also on the design end of things, and just make things better from both ends. Help products become better, but also cultivate a audience of people that appreciate and care and support better products, because there's just so much noise out there. It sucks that there's like so many companies that just compete with large budgets, and they cut money on quality of the product and optimize for just noise, you know, via commercials and advertisements and getting their name out there, which is unfortunate, because it's a really effective way to market. Just kind of drown everybody out with noise, and that toll is taken on the product in the end. But the people don't know better, because the people just watch ads. They don't really do their own research, and that's fair. Research takes time. And even just watching content creators online, it's hard to trust people in their opinions, because again, like I said, companies optimize for attention. Oh yeah, you can see this crazy feature I do here. Yeah, it's the kind of stuff we're doing on a little e-scooter with 11-inch tires. I run my pressure pretty low, by the way. Like 17 PSI on those, and I'm riding street tires because I'm just scary like that. But anyway, back to my point. Right, as I was saying, it's hard to trust people and their opinions online, especially the bigger channels, because the bigger channels are potentially getting big payouts for opinions that sway the market in a way that is favorable for the company being talked to. And that's something I swear to never do on any of my channels. I do not shill any products. My goal is not to shill products and make money as I climb the ladder as far as channel growth and influence goes. My goal is to get my hands deep enough in the marketplace that I can actually push it in a better direction. Do I work with companies that I think are on the cutting edge of what is best and speak highly of them? Yes, I do that because I think that they are the best. I'll do that. I'll partner with companies that I absolutely love and speak highly of their products, but that's because it's coming from a completely authentic place. I will not, however, budge on opinions that are critical because a company is paying me, or some company that I don't care about but is big is suddenly cutting me some fat check to lie about the product. I'm not going to do that, ever. I swear. I hate how much of that's going on. I don't think it moves the market in a positive way at all. It just perpetuates the whole competing with noise thing that keeps products from being as good as they can. So I'm not interested in participating in the marketplace or world as a content creator in that way at all. So you can believe me, you can choose not to believe me, but that is, again, my purpose is to not be corrupt, but to be critical of things that people need to be more critical of. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from. I guess I'll skip through this footage because I'm just adjusting my shoes, huh? Those shoes are Ultras, by the way, some Ultra off-road. I think the Timp shoes, the Timp high tops maybe. I like zero drop barefoot stuff, very stable, wide toe box. You can splay your toes for stability. Your heel isn't elevated, again, for more stability, and the wide platform for more stability. It's just so stable and so how your body is designed to move. Anyway, it's the homie's turn to do this kind of sketchy feature, and big kudos to him. He doesn't have quite as much experience as me riding off-road because I have years of mountain biking behind me. So that definitely crosses into how I maneuver over things and how I read a trail. But he's also on a less capable scooter that I bought on Amazon for like 3 weeks, partly because he's here, partly because I wanted to test it. It's the Skycore RS3, and it seemed like a good enough scooter that if I liked it, I could keep it, but if I hated it, I could just return it to Amazon, So that's what he's riding. It's much more stiff. The brakes kind of suck, but I think the worst thing was that the torque on the throttle was just insane. It was like you either get 5% power, and if you push for any more power, it's 100% power. So just so torquey, so hard to control. So he's doing this on a less capable and much more annoying to ride scooter. So shout outs to him. Yep, he did it. I think it took like 4 roll-ups, but yeah, he did that shit. All right, I said the S word. That officially means this content is in another category. Now that I've said one swear word, that's fine. That's fine. I don't really care. This channel's not even monetized yet. Not that if it were, if I would still care. I don't know. I keep it pretty clean on my tennis channel, but here maybe I'll let a little looser. Ooh. All right, my turn to go down. Slightly choppy start, all good, because we got that control. Do I make it up this hill? Yeah, I make it up that hill. It's important to like have enough speed behind you, but also you want to be in a gear that has enough torque and top speed if you need to get it before it's too late. I think that happens here. I'm following him and he gets kind of stuck, so naturally I get kind of stuck. But that was a tough climb anyway. We'll see if I don't know if I've actually made that climb before. I think it's doable. You just got to go down faster. Sometimes getting speed ahead is tough on a scooter because, again, the tires are small and the suspension's kind of limited, so it's like hard to commit to higher speed runs to maintain momentum uphill. But I will say that having the dual motors is one of my favorite things about scooters. You don't get that on bikes, do you? E-bikes are all like rear wheel torque, and I don't know, there's just something about riding something with power on the front and the rear. I really, really love it. I don't know why that kind of killed bikes for me, just having all the power to the back wheel. I drive a Tesla now, and I got the all-wheel model, and just maybe having that pull but the push at the same time, just I feel so connected to the ground. Like everything that is touching the ground, which is just your tires, unless you're crashing, is engaged with the acceleration as well as the deceleration when you have a vehicle that is all-wheel drive. And that just pleases me in some kind of way that attracts me to the scooters even more. So that's nice.
So many potential.
You get your front wheel over an obstacle and it will pull you as the back one pushes you. It's really great. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It feels different, and you think about trails differently when you have it. And when you don't have it, you kind of miss it maybe, especially on scooters. Bikes are obviously more capable. The wheels are huge. There's way more suspension travel, but I think it's a night and day difference on e-scooters if you have dual motors versus single. So that's my 2 cents on that. And wow, look at this terrain. It feels like a movie kind of, doesn't it? It's just this weird, desolate, but beautiful and serene, calm scenery. And you're just gliding through it on this scooter. That's what I love about this, is just going out there. I don't know what I'm going to see exactly. I don't know where I'm going to find myself, but it's going to be interesting, most likely. I'll enjoy the ride there and the ride back. It's a great time. I also really love having a guest scooter. I got 2 scooters now. The one I'm riding is kind of my guest scooter, but I still ride it because it's a little more playful than the 7260R, which is a good, 40 pounds heavier than this, but the tires are a lot bigger, a little bit more suspension travel, more range, more top speed. Not that I care about top speed doing off-road stuff, but it does have all that. But yeah, I still ride this 11-inch one plenty, and it's a great time. But as I was saying, it's really nice to have as a guest option. Just, it's, scooters are funny because they're so easy to ride. It's kind of like anyone can ride it. But to ride it with skill in a way that you're competent and capable off-road is still another level of skill. But I think that the scooter being limited in some ways with the smaller tires, it kind of keeps you in check. And yes, I acknowledge that e-scooters are dangerous because they're capable and because they're easy, but I think the vast majority of people who get injured on them are probably just riding those cheap rental scooters that you see in downtown urban areas. And they're probably completely inexperienced and honestly probably inebriated. So you put someone on a bad, cheap rental scooter with no experience while they're inebriated in a downtown area with like traffic lights and cars, sometimes like railway tracks. I saw somebody eat absolute shit trying to cross the rails, riding a little bit too parallel to it. And of course the wheels got stuck and they just face planted bad, but their friends were around and, you know, they helped that person back up. But I was like, jeez. But I don't blame scooters for that. I kind of blame people for that. You know what I mean? But people are really dumb sometimes, and you have to take some accountability for enabling them to be dumb too much. So I get that too. It's kind of on the city, but I don't know. Don't blame scooters entirely. Anyway, that's a talking point that some people like to bring up, and that's my feelings on that. To be honest, riding at these speeds, I don't even wear a helmet most of the time because, again, I'm just riding at like 10 or 15 miles. I'm just not worried about it. If I was riding a whole lot faster, obviously I would, but I'm not. And, you know, to me, this is kind of just like riding a bicycle. And so many people don't wear helmets when they're riding bikes. And I'm not advocating for you to not wear a helmet. I'm just, again, being honest about how I ride, but also why I feel comfortable doing that. I mean, me riding at this speed, does that really seem super necessary? I would say no. And meanwhile, you got skateboarders jumping down like 25 stair sets doing a 360 flip or something, you know, tray flips and whatnot. Not wearing a helmet. But, yeah, this is not that. But yeah, take as much precaution as you feel. Like, I wear these armored knuckle gloves when I'm riding more serious stuff. That way, if I put my hands down, they're not going to get all cut up because that sucks when that happens. And sometimes I wear a helmet, but I don't always. Yep, just kind of picking paths at random here, but loving the scenery. Really fun to be able to watch this. It's on a GoPro. Is it like a Hero Black 10 that I'm recording this on? I got that. It's a chest mount that I'm wearing to film this, and I suppose I have that hyper smooth feature on, and it looks really good. I'm very happy with this footage. I wonder if I'll get the Instacam 360 type camera or not, because the way that distorts images kind of bothers me, but I also understand it can film angles and stuff that the GoPro can't, but it's nice to have both, I suppose, if you can. So maybe I will. Let's see. How much footage time is there left, huh? This is a really unedited video. I'm like just thinking out loud. That's fun. Sometimes that unscripted stuff is fun, huh? I guess I just went back to hit that again. It was that good. Just had to go back and hit it one more time, you know? You know how it is. I am using a thumb throttle. I will let you know, I guess, that I've tried just about every single throttle variation with so many adjustments on each throttle variation and a good amount of time on each. And I've come to the conclusion that I really like finger throttles, actually. So this is kind of my thumb throttle era, and then messed with all the potential thumb throttles that are out there, and then came to the conclusion that I like this one. And some people they're going to quickly bring up that like weird finger one from the EU somewhere. Is it like the Czech Republic or something? Anyway, that company sent me that little weird finger throttle that's kind of like a stub. I thought that was pretty cool for a while, but again, I kind of went away from that, and I'm just back to the stock finger throttle that comes with this scooter. If you buy it from Super Scoots, it actually does not come with that. They switch it for a thumb throttle, but you can let them know that you want the stock controller, which has the on and off buttons built in, as well as the gear shifting buttons all built into the same controller as the throttle. And I like that because it really cleans up the cockpit, if you will. It takes some of the clutter away from the handlebars. So that's nice. And I just happen to really like it because when your thumb is rattling around and you're holding the grip, it's tough to maintain consistent acceleration in a way that doesn't strain your thumb. But the way that my hand can wrap around comfortably using a finger throttle, I just prefer it. So yeah, I've been down the rabbit hole deep and have come out preferring finger throttles. So that's where I'm at with that. I'm not forcing you to like something you don't like. I'm just letting you know where I am at. So don't take that as an attack on whatever throttle preference you have is. But, you know, try to give me some credit for thoroughly testing each variation, because I did. And this was my preference. And it's not because I didn't test things enough. It's because I did test things enough that I came to the conclusion that I did. But yeah, that is one of the many thumb throttle models I've tested. Huh. I wonder how steep this thing looked in person. Was I intimidated by that? Did I do it? Oh man, do I just back out or do I hit that? I don't know, we'll see. Might just be talking my friend into like picking a line or something, but maybe we don't even do it. Let's see what happens here, huh? This footage is a little while ago, so you know as much as I do at this point. Let's see what I do. Do I go somewhere else? Oh, I totally go somewhere else. It might have looked a lot sketchier in person. I don't know. Or maybe my friend didn't feel like doing it and I didn't want to do it if he wasn't going to do it, because then we'd be on different paths or something. I'm not sure what I was thinking, but guarantee I've done some pretty sketchy looking things on the scooter. So there will be footage of that sometime. Sometime soon I'm going to upload also the footage of me riding with a buddy named Lawrence. He's a professional EUC rider, so I thought it'd be fun to get together with him and see if he and I can ride the same kind of trails, if one vehicle is more capable than the other. And that is a yes and no question, but he's also an extremely skilled, literally professional in a Bollywood film as a stunt double for an EUC scene rider. So you can see what little content I have out there about that if you want to, but I will have a video of us riding in a similar fashion to this, just so that I have it on YouTube, because that'd be nice. But yeah, shout outs to Lawrence if he's watching, and anyone that knows him. He's a pretty well-known figure in the EUC community, that's electric unicycles. And shout outs to anyone that watches Bollywood films. Particularly, it's called Indian 2, which is a hilarious movie name. And a ridiculous Bollywood film for sure, but the production's insane. And the EUC riding scene with him in it is quite long and extensive and insane. So it's cool. Very cool that he got to do that. And yeah, very cool that I got to ride with that guy. I should hit him up sometime. Oh yeah, there's almost hit him up for another ride. I've just been deep in the rabbit hole of scooters and testing things, fixing things, seeing what I like, what I don't like. But yeah, we'll get back at it on the trails one day. Wow, well, it's amazing how much I can just talk if I let the footage play and just narrate over things without much direction. That's pretty funny to me. I'm not saying that was funny. I'm just like introspecting over here, thinking about how strange that is. Like, look at all the thoughts that are in my head and what happens if I just allow my brain to take a dump on the mic. This is what comes out. But there's some good stuff in there, you know? It's like a solo podcast a little bit. Maybe it's a form of meditation for me while I drink this protein mocha drink. Trying to keep my hunger down at the later hours of the night so I don't get tempted by late night snacks. Wow, this looks so cool on camera. Just this narrow, almost bridge-like feature. Man, I love this stuff. I love the kind of scenery you can see on a scooter. And this is Vegas. Okay, so it's but I love the idea of traveling into different areas with different nature or different urban landscapes and just seeing the world on the scooter. I think that sounds like such a good time.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe have to...
That's the dream. I guess we're kind of living it right now, a little bit over here though, huh?
And you're just behind this section the whole time?
I'll skip ahead since it looks like I'm just talking about what features I want to go over with my friend. But yeah, I can let this roll for a second. That way you can appreciate the scenery that I'm riding through. All right, let's get to the riding again, huh? Yeah, I briefly remember that conversation. There was a weird fork in the road and both options were quite steep and sketchy. Both kind of at the limit of what the scooter seems reasonably capable of and maybe at what the skill set required looks like. You know, I will say this. Sometimes I feel like I could do a little more on the scooters if they were built a little bit differently. It's partly like scooters just aren't built as beefily or optimally as they could be. Oh man, yeah, it's hard to turn. Sometimes you just feel like you're gonna burn out. So I guess he braked and got off, walked. See, that's always an easy option on the scooters. You can always bail. Kind of like a skateboard, except you have handlebars. It's easy to jump off. And yeah, we are wherever we are, just riding our way out. Such a crazy place to ride your scooter, huh? So crazy.
Not quite.
I love just going forward and picking a turn and committing to it and wondering where it's going to take you, and then you just keep going until you can't. But sometimes you get to a place you're like, can I? Is there like a way down? Should I do that? Is that a bad idea? Am I going to break something on the scooter or myself if I fall? It's fun. It's a good time. This is random, but I miss missing mountain biking. There was a time where I was just such an adrenaline junkie on the mountain bikes, and I was doing big stuff. Like I hit like 30-foot road gaps and stuff. I mean, really like if you crash, you die kind of stuff. And I kind of like peaked at some point. Like I got the maximum adrenaline rush possible for what I felt comfortable doing. And it was just like, what am I going to do, a 40-foot road gap now, a 50-foot road gap now? Like, what am I going to do? And it just felt like at some point I'm just going to be chasing death until I ultimately meet it on a bike. And, you know, I guess that's what I was doing. But at some point, the adrenaline and the fun and the rush of it just kind of wore off. And all that was left was danger. So it just became really stressful. And now I'm like chilled out on these crazy e-scooters, you know? So that's a bit of my path, like where I was in my relationship to riding off-road, but where I'm at now. I was never interested in motorcycles. A lot of people naturally go from like mountain bikes to motorcycles, which makes perfect sense that that's where you would transition, but I don't know what it was with me. I just never was interested in motorcycles at all, ever. So it makes sense that the next natural step for me was e-scooters, because that way I got the motorized thing, but I also, I don't know, something about just standing on a scooter is a nice change of pace from standing on a bike. I don't know how to explain it, but I got really sick of the riding position. And there was nothing wrong with my riding position. It's just that this is so refreshing. It's like I'm just standing up and I'm on a nice walk, but I'm being propelled forward with suspension under my feet instead. You know? It's nice. It's very nice. Well, it looks like we're coming to the end of the ride here. So that's what it was. I hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something, or just enjoyed having some company via my voice as I blabbered about scooter stuff and my life a little bit and my obsessive perspectives on scooter things. But yeah, it was a good time. It was real. I hope you want to like and subscribe. It helps my channel grow. It helps me get bigger opportunities as a scooter channel. And yeah, sometime soon I'll probably be getting more scooters in. I'll definitely do some more content soon. I want to talk about the Apollo Pro because I did test ride that a little while ago. I have some strong opinions. I think that scooter's still pretty hot from them, so you know, people might care to see what I think about it, and I'll talk about it. I know they got that new Phantom out, but I'm probably not going to try it. Spoiler alert. So I am excited about that Daytona from Voro Motors, though, I'll tell you that. And there's a Czech company called Hugo Bikes. That might be the craziest scooter ever made, and definitely, probably the most off-road capable scooter ever made. So stay tuned for more information on that. I'm trying to work something out with the company, but they're struggling to find affordable ways to ship things to the US, and the scooter's already so expensive as it is, and I don't actually know the scooter, so I'm a little bit hostile to drop that kind of money on it, but if it's good, I'm sure it's worth it. So stay tuned. I'll say more when I can. Like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. And don't forget to use my coupon codes below if you want to get what I think is genuinely one of the sickest scooters. Get 50 bucks off of any of the scooters on their website, but I really recommend the Teverun. I love the Fighter Mini, which is what my buddy in the video actually bought. So he's riding that at home, but this was the Fighter 11 that I'm riding, and I also have a 7260R. So if you have any questions about Teverun scooters, you can ask me. You can do your own research, but you can get $50 off Super Scoots with my link and code. All right, thank you. Appreciate you. Bye.